Hey gang, good morning, it's Yellow Brick Bullion. I picked up a new gold piece yesterday that I wanted to show you. This is a 100-year commemorative Liberty coin, almost a quarter ounce of gold. It's beautiful, isn't it? Liberty is beautiful, isn't it? United States of America. $5. So when I was picking this up yesterday, I got to thinking 2020's been a hard year for many people around the world. And here in the United States, I think a lot of people have been paying attention politically, maybe more so than they've ever been. There's been more dissension this year than there has been in a long time. And I was reminded of a story that I heard back in elementary school, and I looked it up, and I wanted to share this with you. This was Thursday, June 28th, 1787. The place was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was the Constitutional Convention. You see, we had won the war for independence against the British, and yet now we had 13 colonies that each had their own ideas about what this new government should look like. Now, there were many in the Constitutional Congress who were Christians. In fact, our nation was founded on a Judeo-Christian heritage. But there was a time of great frustration as each one of the representatives had their idea of what this new government should look like. Well, at the point when it seemed as if the dissension would tear apart the United States of America before it was even formed, it would be stillborn, Benjamin Franklin made an address to the president of the convention. And I'd love to read that to you. And before I read it, I want to say Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson were probably two of the least religious, certainly the signers of the Declaration of Independence, but also of our founding fathers. And so listen to this, whether you're a believer or not, listen to this speech from one of the least religious founding fathers. He said, "Mr. President, the small progress that we have made after 4 or 5 weeks and continual reasonings and arguments with each other are different sentiments on almost every question, several of the last producing as many ayes as a melancholy proof of the imperfection of human understanding. We indeed seem to feel that our own want of political wisdom, since we have been running about in search of wisdom. We have gone back to the ancient history for models of government, and we have examined the different forms of those republics which have been formed with the seeds of their own dissolution, now no longer to exist. And we have viewed modern states all around Europe, but we find none of their constitutions suitable for this our current circumstances. In this situation of this assembly groping as it were in the dark to find political truth, and scarce able to distinguish truth when it is presented to us, how has it happened, sir, that we have not hitherto once thought of humbly applying to the Father of lights, and so to illuminate our understanding? In the beginning of this war with Great Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayer in this room for the divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequently the instances of a superintending providence in our favor. To that kind providence we owe this happy opportunity of consulting in peace on the means of establishing our future national felicity. And have we now forgotten our powerful friend? Or do we imagine that we no longer need his assistance? I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this. And I also believe that without God's concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. We shall be divided by our little partial local interest. Our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and a byword down throughout future history. And what is worse, mankind may hitherto from this point despair of establishing righteous government, and by human wisdom, and leave it to chance, to war, to might makes right, and to conquest. I therefore beg leave to move. I here so move, that henceforth prayers, imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessing on our future deliberations, be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business, and that one or more of the clergy of this city be requested to officiate in our endeavor. And it was at this point that they were so convicted that the delegates shut down the Constitutional Convention and sought a time of prayer and fasting. They actually brought in pastors from Philadelphia to preach sermons to the delegates. At the end of this time of prayer and fasting and of hearing from the Word of God, we received the Constitution. It really is an amazing country. Liberty is beautiful, isn't it? Freedom isn't free. But it's important that we remember where we came from, that we remember the heritage that has been entrusted to us, and that we don't forget, as we become so passionate about what we're fighting for and what we're fighting against, that we don't forget to seek the wisdom of God. Psalms chapter 33 says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. He favors and he chooses the people who pursue him. This is Yellow Brick Bullion. Love you guys. God bless.